Hey everybody, on this week's The Real Estate of Life with Kevin Riles, we're talking about the three things you need to know in office leasing. The three things that you need to know in office leasing. I'm working with a couple of clients right now looking for office space, and just thought it had a good conversation with one of them about some things that they needed to know. And I said, you know what, this will be a good podcast episode. So decided to bring it to you guys. So it won't be long today, but I think you'll enjoy it. DJ, hit that music, please.
Support for this program comes from the Digital Broadcasting Network, presenting podcasts and web series from everyday people who have an extraordinary passion to make the world a better place.
Hey, welcome back to The Real Estate of Life with Kevin Riles. This is your host, Kevin Riles. This week, you just got me, but I hope you still love me. Mr. Producer texted me this morning and said, hey man, it's time to tape. Do you want to come into the worldwide headquarters of channel713.com and the Digital Broadcasting Network, or do you want to, come to the office? So I said, office. So you're at the worldwide headquarters of channel of not channel713.com, but of Kevin Riles Commercial. You can tell them often. I'm just gonna be honest with you, I'm exhausted. It's been one of those weeks, guys. It really has. So just to give you a little tour for those on the video, this is my desk, and behind me, which Mr. Producer's probably, he didn't know I was gonna do this, got my computer. This is where all the magic happens. Like, so, in MTV Cribs, when they were going to the master bedroom and say, this is where the magic happens, but this is where my magic happens. And so I'm excited that you guys are here with me in my office. So this won't be a long session today. One, because I'm exhausted, but two, the subject matter I think is important. I'm actually trying to put together a kind of a presentation that I plan to do sometime this year on leasing, on commercial leasing. And the reason I want to do that is because commercial leasing in and of itself is such a specialized field from a commercial real estate standpoint that I think it's important that I give you guys clues and things to look at. So this particular segment is about office leasing. The three things that you need to know when leasing office space. The three things that you need to know when leasing office space. And why is that important? Well, the Real Estate of Life with Kevin Riles is real life stuff. And what I mean by that is that I was talking to a client literally yesterday who, physician client, they're looking for a second location of their clinic. They're in the north side of Houston. They want something on the west side. And so yesterday we toured spaces. And so, touring spaces, just like showing homes, you get together a list of spaces that they might be interested. We narrowed it down, and then I set up appointments to go out and look. And so when I sent them the initial list, the information on that list said how much, where it was, how much the space was as far as the rental rate. And we went over this in the previous podcast, but I'll go over here in a second. Rental rates for lease space, commercial lease space, except maybe for industrial, is always quoted on an annual basis. And so annual basis, meaning that if something is at $24 a square foot, then you divide that by 12, and that's $2 a square foot on a monthly basis. So the list that I sent them was $24 a square foot as an example. And then it would have this slash, and it would have FS, MG, or NNN. It would have FS, MG, or NNN. And so as they were looking through the list, they called me and said, hey, I can see that this is, I told them about dividing it by 12. So they understood the $2 a square foot, or, $18 a square foot divided by 12, but they were confused as to what those things meant, FS, MG, and NNN. And so today's podcast is about what those things mean when you're looking for commercial lease space. So let's start off with FS. So if you see a listing out there, or you're working with a commercial broker, or you're working with me and I send you a list of sampling, and you see the price is $24 a square foot / FS, that means that it's $24 a square foot on an annual basis, or $2 a square foot on a monthly basis. And FS means full service. Full service. So that's one type of lease. Full service. Full service is that everything is included in that rate. And what do I mean by everything? You remember a couple of episodes back, I talked about triple net leases, which is the NNN in this case. Well, building owners have things like taxes, they have insurance, they have management of the building, they have common area maintenance like mowing the yard and cleaning the windows and things of that nature. So all of those are costs to the building owner. And so, and then also electricity and utilities and water and things of that nature. So in a full service lease, all you pay is the quoted price, period, point blank. You don't pay any of the other operating expenses for the property. So that in that rate is baked in all of the operating expenses of the property. So in a full service lease, what you see is what you get. If it's listed for 24 and that's what you end up negotiating that you're going to pay, then that $2 a square foot is all you pay. You don't pay anything else. All right. So that's a full service lease, and everything is included in that rate, meaning that you don't have to worry about your electricity, your water, any taxes or anything of that nature. All of that is included in the rate. So that's full service lease. When you see, and so there were some listed as $24 a square foot / MG. What is MG? MG is modified gross, right? MG means modified gross. And modified gross is basically a method to say that we're gonna, in that $24, we're paying some of the cost, but you're gonna have to pay some of the cost outside of it. So what does that mean? In a modified gross lease, the landlord or the building owner may pay the taxes, they may pay the common area maintenance, they may pay obviously the management company and things of that nature, but they may not pay electricity. And typically in an office lease, that's the one that they hold out. So they have all of these things, and if you're looking on the video, I have my hands up for those that are in audio, showing that they'll pay everything but electricity, or everything but electricity and water, or everything but something that's left out of that mix of operating expenses. So basically, a modified gross means that you're paying something of your pro rata share of the operating expenses for, say, electricity or things of that nature. And so you have to understand that, because that $24 square foot lease at full service versus a $24 square foot lease at modified gross is a different cost, and it might be more expensive. And the reason it might be more expensive is because your modified gross, if it's electricity or something else outside of that number, then you have to determine what that real true cost is. Is that actually making the lease $25 a square foot, because now you're having to worry about electricity, right? So you have full service lease, you have a modified gross lease, right? And then you have what we talked about before, a triple net lease. And so some of the office buildings, and this is, I'm saying it's new, but it's relatively new to me at least, that office buildings have gone to triple net, and triple net is much more common in retail and industrial spaces. And triple net, as I've explained before, is that all those operating expenses are taken out of the rate. So you'll see $24 a square foot / NNN, meaning that all those operating expenses that I just talked about, taxes, insurance, you're responsible for your own AC, things of that nature. All those maintenance and costs are extracted from the rate, and you pay your pro rata share. When I say pro rata share, if there are if it's 10,000 square feet and there are 10 tenants and you have 1,000 square feet, then you're going to pay 10% of whatever the cost to operate the building. So your pro rata share would be 10%. And so that is usually done in a number. So the operating expense charge or triple net charge might be on an annual basis, for instance, $12 a square foot. And so if you divide that by 12, that means an additional $1 per square foot is added on to your rate. So if you're at $24 a square foot with a $12 annual rate, that means you're really paying $3 a square foot on a monthly basis, $2 for base rate, and then $1 for your triple net charges. And so I think it's important that people that are out there, of all the commercial real estate specialties, and all the things that you could do and try to go out there and do by yourself, buy an apartment complex, buy a retail center, lease an individual building, right? Leasing is the one area that I highly recommend, and even if it's not me, that you get a broker to help you, right? Most business owners go out and lease a property on their own, thinking almost like they're leasing an apartment, and like it's that simple. And it is not. it is not. There's stuff that you need to know about expenses, expense stops. You need to know about default provisions. And I've done enough leases to even, I don't know everything, but I know a whole lot. And when I don't know, I know who to call to find out, or get an attorney to review it. And so it is a highly specialized portion of commercial real estate. And so I understand for those of you that are out there that are maybe already in business and already signed a lease, I will tell you that I've had a client recently indicate that the landlord hasn't been performing on a lease, and so they're wondering if they can break the lease because of, and I said, what did your lease say? And they're like, I don't know, I need to find it. So that, so you have to read the default provisions and see, hey, if the landlord is not performing, then typically there's language that says, you have to notify the landlord in writing. Landlord has X amount of days to cure the issue. If they don't cure it, then you can, notify them again in writing that you're vacating. But people always say, well, what can I do if things are not going well? I always send them back to the lease. And so if the lease document is that important, it's important that you have someone with you that's familiar with it to move forward. So this is not an endorsement or a sales pitch as to me specifically, although always call me. But you need to use a broker, in my opinion, a tenant rep broker, someone that does tenant rep that's used to doing leasing to do leases. So again, this wasn't going to be a long one today. But I want to get this out because I'm going through this now, and I thought it was good. And when she asked me that question, what does FS, MG, and triple net mean? So remember, FS means full service. It means that the landlord takes care of everything inside the rate. That's all you pay. And by the way, full service is way more common in office than any other type of leasing. You don't really get full service industrial leases or full service. You can think of full service in using an apartment is all bills paid. So I paid my rent and everything is paid. I don't have to worry about anything else, right? And then your modified gross, they strip some of those things out of the full service and say, we'll pay for everything, but you're going to pay for your utilities, or we'll pay for everything, but you're going to pay for your utilities and you're going to maintain your AC system, or whatever the case may be. And then triple net means they've stripped everything out of the rate and you see the base rate plus your operating expenses. And so those are your three things that you need to know in office leasing. And as always, I appreciate you guys listening to me, and I will see you next week. Do you have questions about any of the topics I'm talking about? If you have questions, let me know. Email me at kevin@kevinriles.com. Again, that's kevin@kevinriles.com. I'm going to do a podcast just on the questions that you guys are sending me. So feel free to send them to me. Again, that's kevin@kevinriles.com.